Howdy guys, Craig Summers here again. Today we're going to do part 2 of the Holosun review, and what I did is took the optic and put it on the battle rifle BR4 Spectre and ran it through a tactical response advanced fighting rifle course. One of the reasons why I did that is because typically with budget optics, and I would consider the Holosun to be a budget optic, a couple things typically fail on those sites. First off, with the repeated recoil, even though 5.56 doesn't recoil much, regardless, with the repeated recoil of the rifle firing, about 1,000–1,500 rounds, a lot of times those less expensive optics, the dots or the reticle or whatever, they will typically go out. A lot of them aren't built to take that kind of repetitive abuse. So typically you'll have the reticles go out. Number two is they typically cannot handle, or a lot of times they say that they're waterproof or fog-proof, but that's not the case. You will get, even if it's just raining, they'll start to fog up. Big temperature drops, they fog up. If you accidentally drop them in some water, they get water in them and they're ruined. And so those were kind of the two main things I wanted to see. Is one, would it hold up to the abuse of 1,000 rounds, 1,500 rounds within 2 days, and would it also do well in multiple environments, wet, hot, cold, drastic temperature changes, things like that. And what I found out from this class is it does both great. The first day of the class, is you can probably go check my after action report and my review of the BR4 Spectre. I had no issue with that reticle whatsoever. It stayed on, it stayed bright. The solar panel, I had it on automatic mode, so it was the reticle was adjusting to the sunlight. It stayed, that reticle stayed on. I had no issues whatsoever. What you're about to see is a picture of the rifle and the optic, and what happened with that is at the end of the first day, what we were asked to do is basically take our rifles apart. They kind of scattered them out amongst us. They turned us around, did some PT, and then yelled fight, and then we had to go back and basically assemble a rifle. It didn't have to be yours, but you had to assemble a rifle. As you can tell from the video, it had been raining that day, and so the rifle was very, very muddy. So basically what I did is I took that rifle, and since there was puddles of water all around us, I actually just dipped it, put it in a big puddle of water, sloshed it around, and tried to get a lot of the mud off of it. The pictures that you see or that you saw are of the clean rifle, for lack of better terms, from when I dipped it in water. So that right there tells me that, one, okay, it's not necessarily, I might not be able to go diving with it, but I can dunk it in some water and it will hold up just fine. Number two is fogging up temperature changes. As you've probably just shown in the video, we had overnight, or actually early that morning, a huge cold front come in with a pretty good downpour. I think the temperature probably dropped about 30 degrees, and it was just raining its butt off. So I was fully expecting that optic to either, one, get water in it or to fog up, and it did not do that whatsoever. It stayed completely clear. I did get mud on the front lens, but I mean, that's not the optic's fault. But it stayed, that rifle stayed on. No fogging issues, no water. It was a pretty good little workhorse. So I was very, very impressed with it. I did not expect it to hold up to the kind of abuse that it did. But like I said, guys, that reticle stayed on. Repeated abuse, dunked it in water, rinsed it off. And then that huge temperature drop with the cold front was just, I really expected some fogging to come up in that optic. I'd seen it before in another quote-unquote budget optic, but Very, very impressed with the Holosun. Stay tuned for part 3. I'm actually going to do some testing to see if it can hold a 0, if it can put me on target at a couple hundred yards away, and kind of how accurate it is. So anyway, guys, appreciate you watching the video. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. Subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate that. Any comments, questions, go ahead and put them in the comment box, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.